Hi everybody, welcome to Live. Today we're blessed with the presence of our good friend Kathy Allen. And Kathy's going to join us today for our discussion. We thought it would be fun.
And she's been in our studio audience the last couple of weeks,
yes,
so we asked her to join us.
And with her beautiful granddaughters, Isabella and Gracie, whom I love very dearly.
And they'll be watching later. So
And they'll be
girls.
watching later. Hi girls, love you. And we just thought it'd be like a nice twist to bring in another, we ask you to comment, ask us questions. We always want to be there for you. And look, if you can't figure it out, and we can't figure it out, well, maybe we can figure it out together. So that's really what this is all about. Real quick, did anybody see this morning on TV about that human chain that all those people made to save that family? Was that the most wonderful way to start your day, listening to that?
Yeah.
I shut the TV off right after that because I didn't want to hear about anything else. I wanted to leave my house knowing that all these people came together like that, and it was just such a beautiful thing.
9 of them.
Such a beautiful thing. Yeah, very peaceful, wonderful feeling.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about your communication skills, which you can go to Dale Carnegie and you can go to all these other kinds of learning how to communicate skillfully, to win people and this and that. But do we ever really learn how to communicate our true feelings, what we're thinking, without a premeditated worry about what's somebody going to say, what's somebody going to think? But if we feel this way, we just need to find a good way to kind of communicate. Hi, honey. So, Kat, why don't you say that thing you said? That was awesome.
Right, the Q-tip method is quit taking it personal.
QTIP. I think that was, I'd never heard that before. And that's really one of our hugest things. Hi Liz. One of our hugest things is that we learn to take everything personally.
Yeah.
It's one of those let go of it things, let go of taking everything personally.
I think we're preconditioned from an early age, first of all, to listen, not to be heard or whatever, and
we think our opinions aren't important enough.
Right. Well,
and that'll stop us from saying things again.
Kids should be seen, not heard, right? So you're told that from a really early age.
Yeah.
Maybe you weren't, but I was.
No. I used to hear that.
Yeah.
I heard it. It doesn't mean I followed it, but I heard it.
Well, so then it's stuff that just kind
I
of.
don't think we brought our kids up like that, though.
No, I definitely not.
Took that tradition.
No, I always
Because our
went
kids
there.
really have no problem saying anything that they.
Well, and I
need to
always,
say.
especially going into an age of daycare. Mine didn't go to daycare, but I didn't want that because I didn't feel like they could tell us what was going on, and I was concerned about that.
Right.
So by the time they went to preschool, which was by 2 or 3 or 4, they could tell me everything, and they did.
That goes back to you gotta be careful what you pray for,
Exactly.
right? And how about communicating with our children? That's a really good point.
Huge.
A lot of times we, like I said, we premeditate somebody's response to us. And we were talking about this earlier, and I said, with kids, maybe it's our own personal not wanting to feel like we're going to get contradicted, by our kids. When we know something, because we already did it, and we say to our kids, do you really want to do that? And they go, oh, you think you know everything. Well, that feeling goes back to our parenting us, our feelings not being validated or our knowledge not being validated. And here we're flipping the coin. We don't want to hear it from our kids. And as much as we want to be supportive to them and maybe let them skip B and C to get to D, not necessarily skip the lessons, but we want to make their journey a little bit simpler.
We want everybody to have a better life than we had. Right? I think
Right.
all of our parents.
But
we
it
try to do
causes,
that too, right?
but what I'm saying is that causes a communication barrier,
Yeah.
with our own children, whom we really want to help. I mean, how many times have you said anything to your kids and it's like right away, and then the next time, do you feel like saying something to them? So maybe it's the way we communicate our feelings, and we just have to maybe start with, maybe instead of thinking you already know what the outcome's going to be, ask them how they feel about something. Hey, Russ.
I think I've been trying to really approach my kids, especially Megan being a foot taller than me, but a lot like me. So.
And if your kids out there, think about this with your parents, what
Yeah.
they might be thinking
Yeah, well,
when you go to
definitely-
communicate.
I've said to her, there was like her yearbook came out, right? And I picked a couple of pictures. You had to send in 3 pictures. And I loved all the ones that I sent, the baby pictures. And then she was like, well, why would you send that picture? And I was like, I love that one. Sorry, I just did the best I could. And I really have been trying to be more human and be like, this is what I know. So, and I did actually I do approach more things more recently, like, if you want my opinion on something, ask me.
Right.
But if you're just trying to like tell me something, then just tell me you're venting. Like, I'm good
Right.
with that.
Right.
And I
right.
also want that, like, from my friends and my spouse or whatever. I would rather, sometimes you just have to say it
Yes.
and just get it out,
Yes.
which is different than also the communication. Sometimes you're just like, oh my God, you gotta get off this off your chest, and I don't want opinions on
Right.
this.
And what about the stress that it builds up in you
Totally.
while you're like nurturing these knotted up
Yeah.
feelings in your belly and your heart and your everything, and your head just gets consumed with it.
Yeah.
All that stress you could let go. Again, letting it go. Because that stress just builds up, builds up, builds up. And we've said this before. So somebody dropped something and broke the glass in the kitchen, whatever. It was one of your good glasses, so it's a glass. But the stress over a thing. And we just hold that stress with us for so long because we can't express confidently and calmly what we want to because we've been so preconditioned to be resisted.
Well, Matt, you might have held on to how you felt
Right.
longer. And so I tend to do this too. Like, I have a really long fuse. And so I won't say it. And this is exactly what we're talking about.
But that's
Like,
it, we're
I
using it, right.
let it build up until when I finally say it, and we just said it before we actually even went live of like why I'm afraid to probably say some of the things that are in my mind because it's
Right.
built up for so long that I'm just like, bah! Say it. And
I've gotten
probably
much
didn't
better
come
at
out the
saying
best
what's
way.
on my mind and not
Yeah.
thinking about it like so much in my head, as
Right.
my Karen says to me.
Yeah.
You gotta
It is
stop
in your head,
overthinking, stop overthinking. And it's great advice because just communicate what you're feeling.
Yeah.
Just communicate what you're feeling. It's not a right or a wrong thing. If the person you're communicating with wants to view it as that or perceive it as that, then that's their perception. And we really need to learn, that's a lesson. We've said it over and over some of the weeks of these lives. Emotionally disconnecting from the outcome of things and prejudging ourselves about like what we're saying. Hey,
Yeah.
Jane.
Yeah. And some of that even starts with the conversation that you have with yourself.
Yes.
Like unkind words that you say to yourself that you would never say to anybody else. And so we
Right.
that's some of the stuff that we have stored up. And so, like you said, like if I had a problem with somebody, I'm already thinking of what my reaction is, what their reaction is, what my reaction is back. There's a lot of stuff that goes on there. And a lot of it is just like how you talk to yourself too. So like if you were kind to yourself and like let your thoughts be okay,
Right.
then when you go to have that conversation, whatever the next thing is okay, and you can be calm about it.
And stop thinking you already know what the other person is thinking.
Yes.
Because that fear, it's just like taking a giant step into a new like book in your life, okay?
Yeah.
And you're so afraid of what you don't know already. Like you're afraid of nothing, technically, because fear of the unknown. Like you don't even know, but you're afraid of it already. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So take the leap. Like jump into it.
Yeah.
You know, people get mad, they get glad. And it's really that simple. So why can't you just apply this to your communication skills and just get it off your chest, do it in a nice way, and do it so that you're understanding of where the other person's coming from too, because, you know, what's going on is also a part, if it's a relationship, whether it's spouse, partner, somebody you work with, child, parent, brother, sister, sibling, whatever. Well, I got really into that. And anyway, you don't know what they're thinking. And
are we afraid to offend people? Is
you
that
just
like
need to.
part of it? Like
Yeah,
that
but
whole
if people
politically
get
correct
offended,
thing.
don't you feel like they're like going, oh, and it's not even what you meant.
Yes.
Right.
Like it's not even what you meant.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of some of that conditioning is like people snap or like take it down the wrong path and are like, wait a minute, it's not even what I meant to say.
And stop having to be right. If something's miscommunicated, then it's miscommunicated. Everybody's got to be right. And I think as you go on and learn these things, your need to be right gets weaker and weaker and weaker, because you know what? It's not about being wrong or right. It's really about feeling what you feel, expressing it, and done. On to the next thing. Really on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And I already said, like with your kids or with other people, you don't want to be made to feel like you don't know what you're talking about, or you don't know just because you did that. I think experience is huge, huge, huge. And if you go back to a lot of the situations in your life and you look at experiences that you went through, I'm sure you can find at least 100 places where if you would have communicated something differently, or if you would have said what you had to say when you had the opportunity, yes, things would have been different. Maybe not a different outcome, but the feelings that you came out of it with would have been very different, because you would have understood, each other at a different, on a different parallel, a different way of looking at it. And maybe you didn't have to leave on bad terms, or maybe you didn't have to leave that job, or maybe that relationship could have worked out, or whatever. So these are like huge things that really communication can really change your life in so
I
many
think
ways.
if you come from a place of love, like the God
Right.
source love, you know, and starting with yourself too, like as we were starting to talk about, you want to say how you feel and what you actually have to say, because you want to honor yourself and your true authentic self. So you want to say it, but you're also not trying to be mean.
And can I say this, since you're saying this?
Yeah.
You're probably all thinking, oh, at the minute I got to say something that's bothering me, I got to think, am I coming from love? You know what? Yeah.
Probably better.
It makes a huge difference. Yes, it makes a huge difference. And the more you practice that, the more you prepare and go to, like while you're still and go, oh, that is not how I want this outcome to be. I want this outcome to be positive. So I do really need to understand where the other person's coming from also. Let me see that, and let me understand,
I think your
and let me
kids,
come from love.
your kids are a good place to start with this, because listen, I birthed you. I say that all the time too. I'm like, okay, I birthed you, whatever. That's like, let me do a do-over. But because you know that I love you, anything I have to say right now is coming from love.
Right.
So you might not feel like that about your spouse or anybody else at the moment, but like, it's a good practice place. Because like, you know what, I'm just your mom. Like, I'm just trying to be me. And I'm only saying this because I care about you, and like anything, and I've said this, so this is like all true. Like anywhere that I'm coming from, anything that I have to say to you is because I want the best thing for you. I don't even know what that is, by the way, because I'm just me, human. But like I think that's an easy place to start.
Right.
You know, so that your kids know, and be like, okay, if you didn't get that, we can start this conversation over, and at some point you get it right.
Right.
A lot of other people you can't do that with.
Right. And
Or your best friends, like your girlfriends, you can do that with too.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
And that's where you find yourself the freest, is with your friends like that.
Right.
We were also talking earlier about, because of this topic, when friends, like want to say something to somebody because they think it would be in their best interest, like maybe you know something that you think your friend should know kind of thing. I think that first of all, that's a really touchy subject. And
Yeah.
second of all, the fear that comes with that is, am I going to be the one they stop talking to? And here's the thing, there's 2 points to be made about this. One is, if they're really truly your friend and they really know that you genuinely love them, that's a different story. But rule number 2, if it's none of your business, stay out of it.
Truly.
Because when something's going on in your life, honestly, when something's going on in your life, but you don't really see it happening, are you going to really honestly tell us that you don't feel it?
Yeah, it's gossip.
Don't we always know when something's happening, but maybe sometimes we're just not quite sure exactly what it is? Hey, Al. And I'm really yeah, okay. So you have to understand that there are just some things that are none of your business. So you let nature take its course, and let it play out as if you weren't even involved. You know why? Because you're not. When there's a conflict between 2 people, let them communicate it out.
Yep.
Let them figure out what's going on. Do you not have enough stuff going on in your own life that you want to take on other people's stuff? I don't know about you, but I got enough partners.
Well, and that's true. I mean, that is, I feel like, I don't know, maybe just me, but I'm hoping like everybody feels like this too, is like, I don't want to know gossip. I don't even want to know it. There used to be a
Right.
time where I'd be like, what's the dirt? And I'd want to know.
Hi, Ness.
I don't want to know. Because it's whispered down the lane. It's
Right.
not true. It's none of my business. And coming from God's source love, I want the best for them. So I hope it all works out.
And here's the other thing. If a friend did come to you and say,
Like in confidence.
what do you think about this? Do you think there's this or that? You can very just clearly say what makes you feel that way. And I don't know, you got to see what you feel, because when you really come down to it, even when you're communicating your feelings. The other person's going to feel that. There's nothing that goes on in our lives. I'm sorry. There is nothing, and I'm not sorry, but you know what I mean. There is nothing that goes on in our lives that we don't always feel. Even if we don't consciously know, we're aware by frequencies and vibrations and by knowing people that something's a little off balance, either in the relationship or this communication. And right then and there, if you really take the time to look at the whole picture and what would be the most peaceful way and the way to come from love in this situation to change it, it just helps so much. Hi, Lon. It just helps so much. I'm glad to see so many people watching.
Yeah, thank
It's
you
really
guys.
nice. Thank you
Really
guys for
nice.
your support. So, I mean,
Yeah,
right?
I feel a lot more peaceful not knowing a lot of things, or, you know, and if I'm told in confidence, that you can know that it's been in confidence. Because that's where a lot of that other stuff comes from, gossip.
Right.
Because somebody told somebody who told somebody who told somebody. It's none of my business. And if you want to confide in me, it's because you know it's not going anywhere else. And
Exactly.
that's huge. You know, because
So-
sometimes you have to do that venting.
Exactly.
And so that trusted person, they're not trusted if it goes down the lane. And that is some of this why people don't communicate well, because they're afraid of where it's going to go next.
Right.
That might be something. And it's
Exactly.
going to be judged. That's my 2 cents on that. Gossip.
But that's true, and
I
we're
used
not
to do
really
it.
talking about gossip. We're talking about communication. But that is a very good point. And taking the time to really sort out in your mind what it is you want to say to somebody, or
Yeah.
really not the outcome, but the level of not response, but how you want things to play out afterwards, the feelings and keeping things together and not coming from a place of anger, and really working with somebody to work things out. when you feel that, that's going to set the stage for the frequencies and vibrations of the communication between two people. What you're thinking, what you're feeling is really going to be the platform of what you get from this. Hi, Steve. Good to
Yeah, like what you are wanting out of that relationship.
Hi, Mary.
Right.
Right.
For yourself.
Absolutely.
So it's actually a lot of what we
Absolutely.
talked about up until this point in our other videos is like knowing yourself, right?
Right.
And what you
Right.
want in that relationship or in your life.
And here's the thing, we all know that we have these relationships in our life so we can learn things and respect, communication, love, gratitude, forgiveness. All these things are part of things that we learn in relationships with other people. And like,
Yeah.
again, whether it's a partner, a spouse, a business thing, a work situation, a girlfriend, a mutual friend, like whatever it is, we're in these situations because we chose them. God places people in our lives that teach us the best lessons, even though sometimes they're the hardest ones. Like if you think for a minute, one of your hardest lessons, if you would have communicated one thing, what would it have been? And like, you don't have to raise your hand, and like you could write this and answer us or share with us if you want. But like, think about it. If there was one thing in a huge lesson of a relationship that you've had, that you learned, that you could have maybe had a different outcome or a more higher vibration of an outcome, a more positive in an outcome, even though it didn't work out, what could you have communicated differently, and how would you have done it looking back now? And then once you realize that, that's where you start. That's putting your right foot first. That's taking that first step to figuring out where you are, and where you want to be, and how you want your relationships to be going forward, and how you want to be free to communicate what you feel to people without worrying about the response or the reaction. The thing is, if you're coming from love and your true intention is to, look, face it, we all want peace in our life. We all want to have like a nice relationship with everybody around us. Nobody wants chaos. Nobody wants drama. It's not fun. It drags you down. And communicating your feelings and getting everything out of the way and putting it behind you is just such a huge step. And besides that, you can get sick holding in all these toxic thoughts and words. Look, I couldn't talk for almost 3 weeks because I had things to say to a couple people, and once I got all that I had to say out, my voice came back. I mean, I didn't have a voice for like almost 10 days. And everybody was like, what happened to your voice? I was like, I got something I gotta say to somebody. And until I was ready,
Yeah.
and God gave me my voice back.
Yay!
Yay. So.
But I think I'm thinking of all this stuff while you're talking too, and I'm thinking one of my own fear mechanisms when you're nervous to say, or if you're really angry at somebody, passive aggressiveness. You know, there's a lot of different things that happen in communication. Like you're trying to say it, and if you can only, and this is the practice part. If you can only get into that space of, like, here's what I want. I want peace in our life. I want to work forward and have happiness. And that's the place I'm coming from, not from hurt, you know, but instead, when you're in an argument, you might be passive aggressive. I might be that sometimes. I'm sorry if I've ever been.
No, okay.
But, you know, like, it's because we're not conditioned for this. This is a learned behavior, I think, to be able to express your authentic feelings and what you want in life and what your relationships want to be. And some you've let go because you couldn't get that that out of the relationship.
Right, but getting past that fear is
Yeah.
huge. Like a lot of people stay in relationships, fear of communicating, because there's actually physical abuse.
Right.
I certainly understand that
Yeah.
from many, many, many years ago.
Sure.
And you know what? The day you say what you gotta say and get out of what you gotta get out of, the very next day, you're like home free. And I'm speaking from experience. I know that that's a huge fear for a lot of men and women, saying what you need to say because you're afraid of like a violent response. So I don't want to make light of that or act like that
Right,
doesn't
right.
really happen, but it's, you know, that violent part of things can really set you back. But the minute you turn around and go, you know what, I'm worth so much more than this, my feelings mean so much more than this, and that violent stuff is coming from the person who's the abuser. So there's another thing you got to let go, taking responsibility for somebody's actions that way. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you made them do anything bad like that, because you didn't. And expressing your feelings about that is very important, and getting out and getting help, getting assistance.
Yeah.
I didn't want to
No,
I didn't
that's
want to
very
leave that out. Like I was thinking, wait, there's another reason why people don't talk
Yeah.
about things. And
Yeah, but and that does begin inside, and some of that fear you can work through in your writing, in your journaling.
yes,
You know, and then when you start seeing, even on paper, that doesn't make me feel good. I don't want to live like that. Then you can start expressing yourself. There's a lot of different ways to communicate, and I think communication with yourself first is really important, because I feel like probably from my own self, from my own journey, that I know that there was a period of time that I didn't speak to myself nicely.
right. Well, we're
Right.
not really taught to, because we hear what
Right.
everybody else is saying to us
Right.
through their opinions while we're growing up. And even like your school teacher, if you didn't really respect who they were or how they were, they told you what to do, and they were an authoritative figure, and you were told to shut up and listen. And that's just how it was. I mean, look at people that went to Catholic school and how afraid they were of nuns all their life.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, fear like I never saw like with people.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I was thinking, I thought that a lot too about, for some reason this week. I've had a lot of the same conversation kind of going on. And I feel like, too, when you're raising your kids, like how that communication, how to get through to them, like, don't do this, don't do drugs, don't do this, don't do that.
Right.
And like, how do you teach it without a fear base? Because that's what the schools did to us too. It was fear-based teaching, like follow this, do this, or
Did
else.
you go to Catholic school? I'm sure. Give you a But
We
did you
didn't
feel
have-
like that? Like in school? Like they make you feel like you gotta be
She was good.
Well, I wasn't good.
She was good.
I wasn't a good student, so I won't go there.
I wasn't
She only looks like an angel.
Yeah, but I feel like, you know, that's some of what parents used, you know, for our upbringing was like fear, like you're either going to get the paddle or whatever, or else, right?
So really the message today is to just let go of that fear.
Yeah.
Stop worrying
There's no
about
or
the
else.
response, and say what you have to say. Come from love, and you know what? Come from self-love. You love
Yeah.
yourself enough that your feelings do matter, and how you feel about something does matter, and clear up any miscommunication, because maybe you miscommunicated in the past, and now you just got to clean up your stuff. Take
Yeah.
responsibility, clean up your stuff, start fresh, and just really speak your piece and just do it in a nice way.
Yeah.
If that's the outcome you want, then that's the outcome you're going to get. And guess what? If you don't get that outcome, then move on, because the other person's just not ready. And you know what? That's not your job. That's not your job. Even if it's a job, that's not your job. Everybody's got to learn by their experiences.
Yeah. And your friend group may change, your job may change, but then you're going to feel a lot better about it.
Yeah,
Probably
don't
fine.
suppress your feelings anymore. It doesn't mean go out and argue with everybody. And
Well, it's not supposed to be arguing. It's more of just speaking your truth from a loving standpoint,
Right?
coming from love, not from judgment or anger.
Right. That's right. So even if it's just today, practice today. Everything that you say, think first and say, is this coming from love? And is this communication going to blow up or it's going to be peaceful? Don't even think it's going to blow up. Go like this. I'm going to come from love and I'm going to have a really good talk and clear the air, whatever, and get my feelings out, whatever. And just surround it with love.
And also control how you feel.
That's right.
Because
Are
whatever
your
is
feelings
being,
coming from here or are they coming from here?
Right,
Because
but-
this will lie to you. This never does.
right, but even what's coming back at you, even if like that person starts yelling, if your fear comes true, in other words, like you don't have to react.
Don't engage.
Exactly.
Let them
That's
make
my
an
point.
ass out.
That's my point.
Whoops. Am I allowed to say that?
We are not
Or say, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
regulated.
Cancel,
We're
cancel.
not regulated.
I'm
It's
sorry that
live.
you're feeling that way. I don't.
That doesn't always go well. That's it's. However, I think really to start. I think to start with yourself. Start. You know, we're not always even conditioned to hear back that you're loved. And I've seen exercises like the mirror technique. Looking in the mirror, I love you.
Right.
Say like kind things to yourself.
We
First.
said that a lot of shows
We
ago.
did say that.
Get up in the morning, look in the mirror and go, I really love you. You're really special.
You deserve all
You're
good
really
things.
powerful.
Mhm.
Think of all these wonderful things that you are. Know that your feelings count and learn the best way to communicate them and always come from love.
Yes.
And with that,
Beautiful.
Link,
Yeah, we
I
got a
know.
link. We got an acknowledgement.
that was our validation
Yeah.
today.
Yep, definitely.
Well, we hope that all of you enjoyed this today, and if you know anybody that it will help, please feel free to share. I am so happy you were here today.
Thank you.
Thanks for
We
having
added
me.
some spice to our thing. If anybody would like to come in and be live with us, or come in and enjoy and have a comfy seat and
And
join
thank
us.
you
And,
so many people who did
and thank
join
you for
us
everybody
today.
that did
Thank
join
you.
us today. And
Yeah.
Barb's at the beach. I know Barb's at the beach.
Jamie's back from the beach. So good to see you.
Stay
but-
hydrated today. Stay cool.
Yeah, enjoy. See
And
you
we
next
love
week.
you. Mwah. Bye.